Jennifer Aniston, America's sweetheart, the adored actress who once made $1 million per episode and married Hollywood's ultimate leading man. She seemed to have everything: fame, fortune, and love. But the bright light that once celebrated her began to scorch, transforming her personal life into a public spectacle. What unfolded next shocked the world as tabloids devoured every fragment of her pain, turning a private heartbreak into one of the most talked-about sagas in Hollywood history. Born in 1969 to actors John Aniston and Nancy Dow, Jennifer's early years were far from the glamorous life she would later live. Her parents' bitter separation and her mother's harsh criticisms carved deep wounds that followed her into adulthood. She struggled with dyslexia, insecurity, and a constant need to prove herself. When she finally landed the role of Rachel Green on Friends in 1994, it was her breakthrough moment. But beneath the glowing smile was a young woman yearning for approval and stability, a longing that would later make her romantic struggles all the more painful. She became one of the most famous faces in the world, yet inside, she was still chasing the validation she never received as a child. Then came 2000, the fairy tale wedding to Brad Pitt. Together, they were the ultimate power couple, the envy of Hollywood, the embodiment of perfection. But perfection is fragile. The unending attention, the headlines, the pressure, it all began to crack the foundation. In 2004, Brad began filming Mr. and Mrs. Smith alongside Angelina Jolie, and the whispers started. The rumors of tension, of something shifting, became impossible to ignore. Jennifer had no idea that the end of her marriage would explode into one of the biggest scandals of the decade. When their split was announced in January 2005, the world stopped. The internet, still young at the time, broke under the frenzy. Brad and Angelina became Brangelina, and Jennifer was instantly branded the woman left behind. The tabloids spun a cruel story, that she was the career-driven wife who refused motherhood and pushed her husband away. The situation reached its cruel peak with the infamous WW magazine spread that showed Pitt and Jolie posing as a happy family, a gut punch that played out before millions. Overnight, Jennifer became Hollywood's most famous heartbroken woman. But beyond the gossip, a darker theme emerged. A relentless, sexist narrative that refused to let her exist outside the question, when will she have a baby? The media reduced her to a symbol of failure, her personal choices dissected and weaponized as if her worth was tied only to marriage and motherhood. What should have been a private separation became a public trial that haunted her for years. But Jennifer didn't stay silent forever. Time gave her strength. After a second marriage to actor Justin Theroux, ending in 2017, she faced the world differently. No longer the victim, she found her voice. Through essays and interviews, she pushed back against the invasive obsession with women's bodies and their choices, condemning the cruel tabloid culture that had defined her for so long. Today, Jennifer Aniston stands not as a figure of pity, but as a woman who reclaimed her own story. She turned pain into power, refusing to let outdated narratives define her. Her journey became bigger than a divorce. It became a statement. Jennifer Aniston is no longer just America's sweetheart. She's a symbol of resilience, independence, and the strength to rise above the noise.